Hello, and welcome to Shedding the Bitch Radio, where you can discuss, debate, and get advice on how to discover and shed the bitches of fear, insecurity, self-doubt, and negative mindsets so you can realize your dreams and life purpose and create and accelerate the riches you want in life. Join us here live every Tuesday at noon Eastern and dialogue with us at 818-572-2910. You can also chat with us at Blog Talk Radio /SheddingTheBitch or share your stories on our website at sheddingthebitch.com. Whatever the bitch is that's holding you back from living your life to the fullest, it's not worth giving up the riches in life that you deserve. So call in now and let Bernadette Bose know what's holding you back. 818-572-2910. Good day, everyone. How are you on this? Well, at least for the people in the U.S., it's kind of a Monday because yesterday we celebrated Memorial Day. So it's kind of a Monday, and I keep forgetting exactly where I am in my work schedule. But anyway, we are here. It is Shedding the Bitch Radio, and it is our Ask Me Anything episode. So for those of you who might be new, and there's a lot of you that are, and I'm so grateful for that, but for those of you that are new and may not be familiar with our Ask Me Anything episode, it's the first Tuesday of every month, and what I do is any question, challenge, story that you might share with me, whether that's in our private Facebook group, if you haven't joined our Powerhouse Mavericks Shift to Riches private Facebook group on Facebook, please join us, or you might, just like you might right now, kind of stream us and follow us on our Shedding the Bitch Facebook page or Twitter page. I also get questions and challenges posed to me through LinkedIn on my Bernadette Bose profile. And as well, you can always email me directly at BernadetteBose@Ball of Fire Inc. But what I do is I immediately address those questions for you and provide you tips and advice, sometimes tough love, as you reach out. But at the same time, then I bring them here onto the first Tuesday's episode, because if you're going through something, or have the question that you're posing, most likely others are as well. And therefore, we want to make sure that everyone is learning from each other. At the same time, you have an opportunity, especially when we're live like we are today. When I'm live, you can always call 1-818-572-2910 and join in live, and we can drill into your question or situation that much deeper. All right. So at any point in time throughout the month, be sure you're reaching out and at least getting the help and the support that you need. Don't sit there staring at your computer feeling all alone. There's always people out there that are willing to help, and certainly I am. So be sure to reach out and let me provide you some guidance and some support and motivation as to what it is that you might be working on or dealing with. All right? So we have a number of questions today. I'll just highlight them first initially so you have an idea of what we're going to talk about, and then we'll kind of go from there. One is, I was actually asked about this Ask Me Anything first Tuesday of every month type of forum, and kind of why is it so important to me to be doing this and offering this. At the same time, are there other mechanisms for you to be reaching out to me other than here on Shedding the Bitch Radio, where you can also get your questions and stories addressed beyond even what I just shared with you, how you can reach out to me directly. So we're going to address that. And then you asked about what to expect from a strategy or a complimentary coaching or consulting call. So a lot of coaches and consultants offer a complimentary call. Some of them are paid. You pay for them. And therefore, what should you expect? What are the do's and the don'ts, and kind of how can you get the most out of those type of calls? And someone else asked me quite directly, when it comes to my goals, when will I get there? When will I get there? A question that probably a good majority of you have, and yet you don't necessarily ask it, and yet it tugs at you. You've been working your little tail off, and, it's been, day after day, week after week, maybe even year after year. And you want to know kind of how can I forecast when I'm going to get there. Then I was asked about the difference between 6-figure and 7-figure strategies. So over the last, good number of months, especially the last couple of weeks with our Goals to 6-Figure Riches Challenge, obviously all of that was addressed on meeting you where you are right now if you're in the 5 or low 6-figure and you're looking to continue accelerating forward. And yet, many of you are like, well, I really want to get to the 7-figure, and how's that going to differ from what I would, as a coach, be having you work on if you're currently at 5 going to 6 or even at the low 6s. So we'll talk about that. And then I had someone reaching out. She is a contemporary artist, and she wants to know how to sell her work while still be authentic as her, as a contemporary artist, how to be authentic and yet still sell her work. And that's a common kind of angst and frustration and fear many female business owners have, actually business owners as a whole. So we definitely want to be talking about that as well. All right. I think that covers all of that. But before we do, I definitely want to do a shout out to our new and ongoing listeners. The new ones, you're obviously finding us as a result of our current listeners. Maybe you're finding us on Blog Talk Radio, on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iTunes, any one of the podcast streaming services. Maybe you're finding us on our Shedding the Bitch YouTube channel, and where, at the same time I'm streaming into our Shedding the Bitch page, I'm also streaming into our YouTube channel. So you have an opportunity there to join us there. And I don't know why I'm getting a message, and I'm actually going to have to scoot away. Hold on 2 seconds. Okay, it's not there. All right, I'm getting a message that my phone is about to die, and I don't know why, because it was just at 100%, not just minutes ago. Anyway, we'll just continue on. So I want to thank you for finding us in any one of those mediums and providing us the follows and the ratings and the comments and the posts and the feedback. You're giving us suggestions on topics, and you're giving us suggestions on guests. And we greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate that. And at the same time, our ongoing listeners, we can't do this without you. So thank you so, so, so much for that. And we will just continue to provide you kind of a response to what it is that you're telling us through the ratings, through the topic suggestions, through the guest suggestions, any one of those things. So thank you so much. And be sure to continue catching us on Shed the Bitch TV, on any one of those streaming services, as well as on Blog Talk Radio. We greatly appreciate it. And on Shedding the Bitch Facebook page, where, like I said, we're streaming both on YouTube and on Facebook right now. All right, so let's get into this, shall we? So the first one is about what to expect from a free or a paid strategy call. And quite honestly, for those of you who kind of, question the validity of those two, whether it's paid or free, you should be getting the same kind of, value, the same impact, paid or free. Now, there is an expectation you should have. I mean, we are all in business together, right? So there is an expectation that you should have as to the fact that even though it is free or paid, one big element of those calls is to really figure out whether or not there's an opportunity for you and that individual, that coach or the consultant, to work with together. So, have that expectation showing up that you should be open to where, especially if it's free, they are going to see if it's you are a good fit, and the problems that you have or the challenges and opportunities that you're facing are a good fit for them being able to solve it. I would do the same thing. you should also have the expectation that they're going to, present what it is that they do, how they do it, and the value to you as a client should you, together as a partnership, agree to work together going forward. All right? So just have that expectation. Don't be surprised when all of a sudden that might come up, and, don't feel discouraged that you are, kind of being sold to. That is the business that we are in, as well as you are. So there is an expectation there. Okay. So that's the first thing I wanted to kind of make sure that you understood. At the same time, though, like I said, both of them are high value, high impact opportunities for you. And so you need to come prepared as much as they need to be prepared. And trust me when I say they'll be prepared if they offer these type of calls. They will be prepared with a series of questions, but you also should come prepared with what it is you're wanting to get out of that time together, and what is it that you want to learn about this individual. It's kind of a win-win, a two-way street. Yes, the call is all about you, and what it is, at least for me, the call is all about you and what it is that, you're going after, what you're trying to achieve, what challenges you're having, what opportunities, are coming your way, what needs you have, that kind of thing. At the same time, how I win from that is not only myself or anybody else finding that there's a fit, that there's a opportunity that I could help you, or that individual could help you, could solve your problems, could help you advance or accelerate in what it is you're working on. While at the same time, you need to kind of be qualifying and doing your own due diligence during that call to really understand not only tips and advice and sometimes tough love as I give that you're going to walk away with, but how could this individual help you should they, be a good fit to be part of your team, okay? And you have to look at the fact that if you do, engage a coach or a consultant, a mentor, or, a professional of some sort, you have to look at it as they'd be part of your team. And that's how you would be, working with them and viewing them and engaging with them. So you want to come prepared with whatever questions that you have as well, in order to really kind of, one, get those tips and advice, but at the same time really understand whether or not this individual is able to help you in any way, shape, or form. All right. The other thing, too, is it's what you should expect is that you're going to have your questions and they're going to have their questions around kind of who you are. They want to get to know you. So who you are, what's your business, who do you serve, how do you serve them, and then ultimately those goals, challenges, and opportunities. All right. And then, and then they're going to be plugging in and paying really close attention to where there might be a gap and an opportunity for them to fill that gap and to serve you. And it really, it will be a due diligence on both your parts because not all individuals that would come to a coach or a consultant are that coaches and consultants' perfect client. So you might have problems, you might have opportunities, you might have areas where someone could help you, and yet they're really going to judge whether or not and qualify. Let me use the word qualify you as a really great opportunity and a great client that they can really help, based on also if you are open, if you're forthright, if you are, if you show up, and not only if you show up on time, if you show up prepared, if you're open to coaching or consulting, advisement, if you're open to feedback, constructive criticism. So, it's just not a matter of, the two of you getting together and both of you asking each other questions and, you're trying to figure out a fit and they're trying to figure out a fit. They're trying to figure out a fit. A coach or a consultant is really trying to figure out a fit to ensure, one, they can help you. But two, are you someone who's going to be a good client for them? Because not everybody is. Not all money is good money. So, they're going to be doing kind of a qualification check to ensure that, they're not going to be wasting their time and they're not going to be wasting your time, and no one's money is getting wasted either. Because if that individual, like myself, is very results oriented, so, they're going to I would want to get those goals understood, get those action plans laid in place, get those metrics as to how we're going to measure success, and get those, those structures for accountability in place to ensure that it's a win-win for both of us. And if the coach or consultant, like myself, finds that it's too much of a struggle, it's too much of just a difficult relationship, then they might say that they can help you. And in my case, I would try to recommend you to somebody else that would be a better fit. But they might just have to say, it's not a good fit, and they don't think that they could help you. And yet at the same time, they should be very supportive and very motivating for you to go and seek, the guidance and the support that you need, although it might not be them. Okay? So just, keep all of that in mind. There's another element that they're going to be looking for too. And so they're going to qualify for a fit of coachability or consultability, if you are open to advisement and guidance as a consultant, and you're, really clear as to what needs to get done, because consultants, they're basically taking whatever it is that you need to get done and helping you, or if they're doing it themselves, get it done. Coaches, are looking to make sure that you're open and receptive to guidance and direction, so then you can go off and take care of what you need to get taken care of. All right. So that's just one element. But another element would be the maturity of your business. Where are you in your, business growth? Because there's going to be some that are looking for more mature businesses. And mature doesn't necessarily mean, high revenue. It means, do you have even the things in place that, kind of substantiate you as a business versus they're needing to support you for starting from scratch? So there's a lot of coaches and consultants out there that work with startups, beginners, that, are even needing to understand kind of, how do I set up my business entity? How do I, create a website? How do I, market myself? How do I brand myself? That beginner stage of a business. Whereas some others, like myself, it still, again, may not be attached to revenue as much as mature or seasoned, how seasoned is this business person? Do they have the foundational things in place? Do they understand, kind of what are the fundamentals that they need to have in order to be a business versus a hobby? And do they have things in place that we don't necessarily have to worry about the beginning pieces? We can jump right into the foundational and the growth strategies. And then there's some who are definitely very targeted toward your revenue level and your revenue maturity. So they want growth, or expansion. They're not even looking for that initial beginner, revenue growth. And I would say that if you're between 0 and let's say 500,000, you could still be considered a new business, a young, unseasoned business. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, just because someone had asked about the difference between 6 and 7 figure strategies. So many would consider anyone, even at the 500,000, even sometimes $1 million, as still in the initial beginning stages. You're working on your own. You haven't started hiring yet. There's a lot of different things we'll talk about in a minute. And so there's some coaches and consultants and service providers. So let's even expand it to service providers who are also offering these strategy calls that you asked about, paid or free. So even if it's about marketing, even if it's about your website, marketing social media, even if it's about your financial state, your finances, your accounting, those type of things. There's going to be some that are also looking at, what stage of development are you in when it comes to your business. So the qualification on those strategy calls is really important for you, because if you're truly seeking help, not just free advisement, you're truly seeking help, then you need to be doing your due diligence, making sure, this person is someone you can relate to. This person understands your problems. This person has solved these. This person, gets you. This person has the structure and the approach that you need. So, and that's important because some people don't like to be very, very, structured, very boxed in the approach of coaching or consulting, while others are, kind of tell me step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and when are we doing it, and how are we doing it, and how am I going to know we got there? So again, during these type of calls, you also want to be sure that you're asking the type of questions to understand how this individual operates, not just to walk away with some tips and free advice. All right, even if it's a complimentary call, you still want to, the expectation should be that you're seeking possible support longer term, and that coach or consultant or service provider is certainly going to be looking at it as whether or not they can help you and serve you and give you what it is that you need. Okay. Let's see what else. And then I would, then it just really comes down to, is it a fit? Is there something more that you two can be working on together for you to get the support and the help that you need? Whether it's paid or free, paid or free, I want you to really walk away with the fact that I don't want to say nothing's for free, but what I want you to really walk away with is there is an expectation, and you should have it, that these complimentary calls or even these paid consult calls or coaching calls that might be even at a greatly reduced price, you should have the expectation that is going to be a qualification call, maybe even an enrollment call, that they actually, by the time the call is over, they're working to enroll you in hiring them to do your website or social media or, finances or, just helping you build your business or provide you coaching or consulting. So you should have that expectation. All right. And don't be discouraged and don't be rolling your eyes when they all of a sudden start, presenting how they can help you and what that might look like. Don't be offended. Don't be kind of like, skeeved out. Have the expectation, paid or free, because we are all in business, right? And we don't work for free. And yet, offering free anything is a way to really get, kind of a connection to someone that could be helped, that could be served by what it is that individual is offering. All right. Just don't be offended or turned off when they start getting into that conversation on your call. Have the expectation that it will be there. All right. All right. So the next question, and this was offered up to me through our Powerhouse Mavericks Facebook group page as part of the, when you join and request to become a member, this is one of the questions that I ask is about, what is it that about goals and achieving your goals that you might have a question about? And so someone said, well, when it comes to my goals, how do I know when I'll get there? And that is the $20 million question, or if not $20 billion question that every entrepreneur has when they venture out to do anything is, oh my gosh, what is it going to take for me to get there? And when am I going to get there? And everybody's so anxious and desperate to have it there yesterday. And that is the one thing that will get them kind of caught up in a kind of a gerbil wheel where they're just spinning because they're so focused on wanting to get there as opposed to where they are right now. So one is I want you to get over when you're going to get there and just focus on where are you right now. And then how you solve the anxiety and the stress and the desperation about when you're going to get there is if you have your goals laid out with your action plan and your timeline of what it is you're going to do, when you're going to do it in order to achieve that goal, well, you've already answered the question for yourself. You've set that timeline. Now, obviously, I can read into this and sense frustration that, well, they've set their goals, they've set their, action plan, they've set the timeline, that timeline has passed, and it's passed multiple times. I can read into it and, possibly say to this person, well, is that, and ask them, is that your struggle? Is that you've set timelines on these goals, multiple times and you keep missing them? And most likely the answer is going to be yes. So what I would, you look at in that regard, if that's your situation, is I would have you consider whether or not, one, was the goal and the timeline and the measures and the action plan, were they all realistic? So SMARTY goals. I talked about this during our Goals to Six-Figure Riches Challenge a couple of weeks ago. And if you weren't part of that program, just pay attention. We'll be, doing that again in July. However, what I do when I look at SMARTY goals, I call them, not SMART goals, but SMARTY goals, is I ask you, are your goals and the way you've defined them, all the specifics and measures and actions and timeline, are they realistic? And this person might land up saying no. But if they said yes, it was realistic that I could achieve this goal and these measures by this timeline, then that's going to have me look at that. If they missed the timeline, I would then start looking at the action plan. What was the action plan? And the action plan might have been spot on. And yet where they might have gotten tripped up is of the action plan that's been defined and the order of priority of what it is that they were working on toward that goal, was that priority set for them to succeed in achieving their goals? Why I say that is oftentimes we have this laundry list of an action plan. And as we go to assess everything that needs to get done, and it's one of those daily routines that I always talk about having, and that's for another day, but what they'll do is they won't consider the priority based on the greatest impact, even quantitative results that they could get from those actions that they need to take. Instead, what often happens is they look at that list and they take the ones that are easiest or most comfortable or most knowing, that they know the most about, and the ones that don't require them to delegate or to hire or spend money on. And therefore, their action plan may have been appropriate, and yet their choices and the decisions that they made along the way is what caused them to continue to have to push out their timeline because they're not working on the high value impact items that would get them to their goals. So when will you get there? It not only depends on your SMARTY goals and the timelines that you've set, it also depends on, are you working on the right things at the right time that have the greatest impact toward moving you closer to your goal? All right? Okay. Let's see. Okay, the next question is the difference between 6- and 7-figure strategies. And of course, this is, often asked by those that are in that 0 to 500,000, but especially 0 to 100,000, because I talk a lot within the Shed and the Bitch community, within our Shift to Riches community, Ball of Fire coaching community. I talk a lot about the fact that I got really passionate about what it is that I do because of the fact that only 10% of business owners earn over $100,000. Only 10%. That means 90% are earning under $100,000. And I bet you if they gave me the statistic of how long they've been in business, we're not talking about those new business owners. We wouldn't be. Some of them, obviously, a good chunk are probably in there. But I would venture to guess that there is going to be a huge percentage of that 90% that have been in business for 5, 7, 9 years. And they're still beating their head against that ceiling, trying to break into $100,000. And why do I know that? Because a number of my clients were the same way, have been the same way. I've worked with clients that have been in business for 3 years, 8 years. One was in business for 12 years, and they were still kind of banging their head up against that ceiling. And it's simply because they had been working on the wrong things at the wrong time. So what does that mean? Well, if I were to break down for you and meet you where you are, and you're in that, let's say, because I don't work with new business owners, I don't work with zero revenue generating business owners. Typically, I'm looking for someone in the 75,000 and above, and they're working to break into that 100,000, and then far into the six figures, trying to get to 7. But that said, oftentimes I'll look at what it is that they've been doing, and they've been basically chasing all the latest and greatest strategies without having the foundation in place. And what I mean by the foundation is they don't know their what and their why, to the point where all their messaging is really clear. All it hits, every time they put it out there, everything that they're doing from a content perspective is aligned and consistent with that what and why message. They're so focused and spend so much time of their week on the how, as opposed to really, really nailing the what and the why first, and then figure out, okay, now how do I use that? How do I do X, Y, and Z to leverage that what and why and to build my business? And so they don't even, beyond the what and the why, that what and why has not been translated into their vision as to what and why they're working on what they're doing. And then that vision translated into really tangible, actionable, abundance magnetic goals, of which then has an action plan to it. Not an action plan that they just defined and a set of goals they defined and put it on the shelf, but ones that are living and breathing and being used each and every day. And then they don't have, even kind of the mindset and productivity tools and strategies that they need to have, because we all know that crap's going to happen, and that's going to be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, let alone financially, let alone, external, tangibly. Things are going to happen, and a good many of you do not have the tools in place for you to work through those without sending you down a rabbit hole. So those people that are struggling, day after day, month after month, year after year, they just don't spend the 80-20. I always say 80% of your time on mindset, 20% on kind of business, technical skills, tactical. And there's just so much time being spent on trying to figure out the how when they're not even really comfortable and secure and confident with the what and the why. So that is, predominantly where anyone in the six figures, so that means 5 and 6 figures, should be focused on, is the what and the why, the foundation of goals and action plans, and productivity hacks and mindset strategies to kind of work through the struggles and the obstacles and the overwhelm. But at the same time, then all you should be focused on in that space is sales mastery, everything that you need to do to generate sales. You shouldn't be going off and working on 7-figure strategies, which is about expansion, and which is about up-leveling, and which is about enhancing your platform, your basic what and why, things like books or podcasts or PR or advertising or, any of those other strategies that are proliferated, these days on social media, trying to get you pulled into then getting very distracted and pulled away from what it is that you need to be doing. You haven't even started generating revenue, generating leads, and yet there's many people, many of you off creating books and creating podcasts and doing PR when there's no kind of even foundation or brand awareness for those things to then get sticky and to get leverageable. Does that make sense? So you're wanting to go over here thinking, I need to build my brand in order to get business. Well, no, you need to get business so then you can build your brand. Does that make sense? So in the six-figure strategies that you were asking me about should solely be focused on you knowing how to generate leads, knowing how to convert those prospected leads into real hot leads, and then how to present, how to sell, how to enroll, how to do strategy calls, how to do enrollment calls, in order to get them then as a closed sale or a client. And then from there, to ensure that you have everything in place to where you can onboard them, you can deliver your service or fulfill your service or product, and then you can retain them so you don't lose them. Make sense? So if you are, whether it's 3 years, 7 years, 12 years or beyond, but you're still, struggling in that 5-figure, 6-figure space, well, then you need to strip away everything around you that isn't focused on really becoming a sales master and really learning how to, generate leads, convert those leads from prospect to hot leads, present and, enroll and then, or present, enroll, and then sell or close your sale, and then to onboard and retain. That's all that you should be focused on. And then once you have money coming in that you can reinvest back into your business, you can reinvest into publishing a book, you can reinvest in marketing that book or creating that podcast or, doing PR, marketing, advertising, so forth and so on. Well, then you have kind of a confident, firm foundation. You're comfortable. You might not be exactly where you are financially, but at least you're not, desperate and struggling, but more so you have all of those skills of becoming a sales master nailed down. Because remember, if you can sell, then you never are without a client or a job. If you know all the skills that go into selling, and especially in today's digital world, where you're not necessarily shaking someone's hand, sitting across the table, taking them out for lunch, and being able to, present your product or service and sign a contract. So you really want to ensure that if you're in the 5-6 figures, it's all around knowing what it takes to generate a sale. And then the 7 figures strategies are all about up-leveling those sales strategies. You're even hiring. You're hiring not only, marketing people or maybe HR people. You might be hiring product development people, but you could be hiring a sales team to then take on what it is that you need to do to get your business closed. But yet you might be the one delivering it. But you might decide, no, I don't even need to be the one delivering it. So those are all strategies that once you have the foundation in place, you can then move on and take on, because books and podcasts and PR and advertising takes time out of your day and your week. And therefore, every minute, every hour you're taking out of your revenue generating opportunity time is just causing you to struggle that much, longer and deeper. All right. So I really want you to focus on ensuring that, if you're in the 5 to 6 figures and even into the high 6 figures, just continue, work on becoming a sales master. And then in the 7 figures, it's all about automation. It's all about getting all the processes in place to run your business, like a well-oiled machine. And even all the sales mastery is then automated to where, you could be getting leads, presenting. You can even be doing, not necessarily enrollment, but you could be doing it while you're sleeping. You could be closing sales while you're sleeping, depending upon the type of product or service that you have. All right. So, in the 7 figures, which you don't need to be focused on if you're in the 5 or any part of the 6, but the 7 figures is all about, up-leveling your processes, your procedures, your automation, your products and services, your marketing strategies, which would include that book and that podcast and PR and all those other things. And you need to be patient to want to get there, despite all the noise that's thrown at you. If you want to do it effectively and you want to, even going back to that last question about, when it comes to goals, when will I get there? If you really want to get there even sooner than later, then be sure that's where you're spending all of your focus. All right. All right. So then, speaking of sales, our next question is, how to sell my work and be an authentic artist. So how do you, the specific question was, let me bring it back here. How can I still be an authentic contemporary artist and still sell my work? We talked about this over the last several weeks in our Powerhouse Maverick Facebook page. And so please look that up, Powerhouse Maverick Shift to Riches Facebook group page, because we do quite a bit of training. I'm out there providing coaching. I'm providing answers to your questions. It's a great place to share with one another and really build a community together, all right? So we had been talking a lot, and we will continue to, around this whole subject of sales. And had you told me that, even 4 years ago, I'd be spending a lot of time focused on sales, I would have thought you were crazy, because my job is to turn over kind of the sales area to a pure sales expert. And yet I have found over the last, I would say, 3 years, that the skill of selling is authentic, is really about how I, Bernadette Bose, would approach my presentation and collaboration and communication and engagement with a prospective client, or even with a current client who I'm looking to upsell, and therefore put this in your perspective. So I then kind of said to myself, yes, there are some skills when it comes to sales, but at the same time, it's really just having a conversation, solving someone's problem, serving them, and then, presenting to them what it is and how it is that you can help them. So yes, there are some skills that there's many coaches out there that will help you with, what's that flow of the enrollment call? What's that flow of, how to do a webinar presentation? But at the same time, it really just comes down to, how can you structure a conversation and a presentation of what it is that you do? All right. So I really want you to recognize that if you have to change the word selling to make it feel, kind of more viable or valuable, then do that. But don't get hung up on the word selling as if it's that used car salesman type of approach, because it doesn't have to be. It can be purely the fact that you are sharing with someone else how you can serve them, how you can help them, how you can make their lives better, and that they can benefit from what it is that you have to offer. All right. All right. I think we hit on everything. So I want you to please go out onto our YouTube Shedding the Bitch TV channel and be sure to subscribe. Follow our Blog Talk Radio show or any of one of the streaming services shows on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, iTunes, so forth and so on. And tune in every Tuesday. We have different guests, different topics, and yet the first Tuesday of every month is our Ask Me Anything episode. So please feel free to go to sheddingthebitch.com. I'm sorry, to go to Shedding the Bitch on Facebook, to go to LinkedIn, where a majority of you reach out to me and send me a direct message. Go on to Twitter, onto our Shedding the Bitch page. Send your question. Tell me your story or the challenge that you're having. And I would love to be able to give you some advice, some tips, sometimes tough love, and then discuss it on our first Tuesday of every month, Ask Me Anything episode on Shedding the Bitch Radio. All right? So until next Tuesday at noon Eastern Time, I will see you. Have a beautiful, rich week. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Shedding the Bitch Radio with Bernadette Bose. Join Bernadette every Tuesday at noon Eastern as she helps you shift your bitches to riches. And the dialogue is always going on at sheddingthebitch.com. See you next week.